Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on The Winter's Tale and we get to hear from Hermione today in Act 3, Scene 2. I love Hermione so much. I need to play her before I die. But first we got to figure out what happened in Act 3, Scene 1 because yesterday we just finished off Act 2 wherein Leontes ordered that the baby who was born premature be taken out somewhere beyond the walls of the kingdom and just left to its own devices to either survive or die as it might. So Antigonus had to go do that. And they're still waiting for Cleomenes and Dion to come back from the oracle at Delphi with the god Apollo's answers to whether or not Hermione has been guilty and all of this sort of a thing. And Leontes has arranged for a trial to happen, all that sort of stuff. So Act 3, Scene 1 is Cleomenes and Dion coming back from the oracle at Delphi, and they're talking about sort of what an amazing experience it was to get to ask that question. They're like, yeah, I wasn't expecting the voice to be that loud, but they have an answer that's like sealed in an envelope. They have the testimony of the oracle at Delphi, and they're like, okay, we're going to take this back and hopefully it'll be helpful. And that's basically just Act 3, Scene 1. It's real quick, and it's a little bit of a palate cleanser because 2-3 was really heavy, and 3-2 is also going to be really heavy because Act 3, Scene 2 is Hermione's trial. And we start off with Leontes going through sort of a bit of pomp and circumstance to say, look, see, I've made this a public trial so that everybody here knows that I am not a tyrant, that this is going to be a fair proceeding, even though he's judge and jury of it. He's like, anybody and everybody can and is here to see this thing, so let's bring out the queen. So they bring out the queen, and it's also important to note that it's unclear how much time has actually passed since she gave birth, but she's definitely still, by common standards, or by like today's standards, she's still on maternity leave. Like, she maybe gave birth a couple of days ago, if that. So she's probably still exhausted and in pain, and who knows if she's been able to breastfeed or do anything about that. So she's probably really sore in a lot of ways and just tired. And here she is, she's been living in prison, so she probably hasn't had anything comfortable to lie down on, any of that, and she's innocent of all of this. And so now she gets dragged from prison to go on public trial that her husband is accusing her of all of these things. So she comes in sort of doing the best that she can because that's what women do. And Leontes says to read out the charges against her. And the charges against her are not only that she slept with Polixenes, but now they've also escalated it to where she conspired with Camillo to kill Leontes. Not just that she conspired with Camillo to help Polixenes escape, but that she conspired with Camillo to kill Leontes. So the charges are read out, and she, in the state that she's in, gets to hear it and responds by saying, since what I am to say must be but that which contradicts my accusation, and the testimony on my part no other but what comes from myself, it shall scarce boot me to say not guilty. Mine integrity, being counted falsehood, shall, as I express it, be so received. But thus, if powers divine behold our human actions as they do, I doubt not then, but innocence shall make false accusation blush, and tyranny tremble at patience. You, my lord, best know, whom least will seem to do so, my past life hath been as continent, as chaste, as true, as I am now unhappy, which is more than history can pattern, though devised and played to take spectators. For behold me, a fellow of the royal bed, which owe a moiety of the throne, a great king's daughter, the mother to a hopeful prince, here standing to prate and talk for life and honor, for who please to come and hear. For life, I prize it as I weigh grief, which I would spare. For honor, 'tis a derivative from me to mine, and only that I stand for. I appeal to your own conscience, sir. Before Polixenes came to your court, how I was in your grace, how merited to be so. Since he came, with what encounter so uncurrent I have strained to appear thus. If one jot beyond the bound of honor, or in act or will that way inclining, hardened be the hearts of all that hear me, and my nearest of kin cry fie upon my grave. She's so lovely. She's, So she starts out by saying that the only defense that she has is to say that she's not guilty of any of this. But since it's her honesty that is on trial here, that nobody's going to hear her defense anyway, because nobody believes what she's saying when she says that she's not guilty of these things. So she's like, it has to come down to divine power and divine intervention to prove that I'm innocent, because these false accusations and this tyrannous behavior, she goes so far as to call her husband tyrannous in this, that's the only way that these things are going to be undone, is through divine intervention. And she makes an appeal to Leontes directly, saying, you know me best. We've been married forever. I am the daughter of a king. I am the queen of Sicilia. You know, I have half of the throne is what I belong to. I'm the mother of a prince. Like, you know me, and you've reduced me to standing here and begging people to believe that I'm honorable. And the people that are here to judge whether or not I'm honorable, whether or not they actually have a say in the actual verdict. But it's like anybody and everybody is there. And anybody and everybody gets to pass judgment on a queen, the mother of a prince, the daughter of a king. So she's like, she's casting a lot of shade on the actual situation in the most upright, polite, and proper way that she can think to do that. And then she ends the piece by saying to Leontes, you know, think about how I was before Polixenes came here, and what you thought of me, and how well you knew me, and how I behaved. And then since he got here, what did I do that was so beyond the bounds of honor that I have to be here like this? And if you can give me an instance of one thing that I did that was beyond my honor-bound duties as queen, as your wife, as mother of the prince, then yes, call me guilty, and everybody can hate me, and you know, all of my ancestors can spit on my grave. And Leontes' response is to say, basically, well, of course anybody that's accused of any of this stuff is going to say they're not guilty. Like, that's how you respond to charges like these, is to say that you're not guilty. Which, you know, think about the current world. Every famous man who's accused of sexual harassment as part of the Me Too movement is like, no, I didn't do it. No, I didn't do it. Because that's how you respond even when you're guilty of something like this, is you say, no, you didn't do it. And she's going to have some more to say about that. I love Hermione. I love Hermione. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for more of her brilliance. Mwah.